Let me ask you something: why avoidants secretly fixate on this type of partner is not a mystery, it's a pattern written in emotion and rooted in the past. Avoidance may seem distant, cold, even uninterested, but deep beneath that surface lies a powerful pull toward one specific type of person. Emotionally available partner. This partner offers what the avoidant has always craved, but never fully received: presence, safety, warmth. It's terrifying and comforting all at once. And that tension is exactly why they can't stay away. Avoidants crave depth, yet fear intimacy, so they chase someone who feels deeply, someone who connects with emotion, because that gives their world color, meaning, and a chance to feel truly seen. But here's the twist: they are addicted to the pursuit, not the peace. They run from stability even as they yearn for it. And so when they find a partner who is steady, grounded, and emotionally mature, it both anchors them and triggers them. The fixation grows because they project all their unmet needs onto that person, seeing them not just as a partner, but as a potential healer, a fantasy of emotional completion. But when this partner doesn't chase, when they hold their own worth and refuse to beg or cling, that is when the avoidant becomes obsessed, because suddenly the game has changed and they are forced to confront their own emotional starvation. And the truth is, this fixation is not about weakness. It is a sign of the avoidant's desire to grow, to evolve, to finally break the cycle and become someone who can hold love, not run from it. This is why they cannot let go. This is why they obsess. And if you are that kind of partner, the one they fixate on, understand this: you are not just someone they like, you are a mirror of their highest possibility. And that makes you rare, powerful, and unforgettable. Avoidants often appear emotionally distant and detached, but behind that facade lies a powerful pull towards something they rarely admit, even to themselves. They are drawn to emotionally available partners, the kind of people who are open, grounded, and warm-hearted. Now, this attraction isn't random. It's rooted in something deep, something primal, something that speaks to unmet needs from long before the relationship even began. The emotionally available partner represents a type of love the avoidant may have never fully experienced, one that is safe, consistent, and nurturing. And while that sounds like exactly what anyone would want for the avoidant, it's both a dream and a threat. You see, avoidants are often shaped by early experiences where love was conditional or inconsistent. Maybe they had to earn attention, maybe they were punished for expressing needs, maybe they were made to feel that closeness equals pain. So as adults they build walls, not because they don't want love, but because they've learned that love is dangerous. Yet in the emotionally available partner, they find the opposite of what they're used to: someone who listens without judgment, someone who stays calm in conflict, someone who doesn't play games or manipulate. This partner becomes a symbol of emotional security. And even if the avoidant runs or pulls away, they are internally fixated on that presence because it represents everything they've been missing. What makes this so magnetic is that the emotionally available partner doesn't just offer love, they offer consistency. And that's what shakes the avoidant's entire belief system. For someone used to unpredictability, consistency can feel unnatural, even boring at first. But over time it begins to expose the cracks in the avoidant defense mechanisms. They start to question their own patterns. They start to feel drawn toward this new way of relating. Even if it terrifies them, the attraction becomes less about physical chemistry and more about emotional nourishment, a craving they didn't even know they had. But here's the paradox: the closer they feel to that emotional warmth, the more their nervous system goes on high alert, because vulnerability is not safe in their world, it's threatening. So they might retreat, they might create distance, they might criticize or shut down, not because they don't care, but because caring too much feels overwhelming. And yet, even in their retreat, they remain mentally fixated on that partner, the one who felt safe, the one who stayed, the one who didn't force them to change, but offered the possibility of it. So the avoidant stays caught between two opposing forces: the comfort of detachment and the pull of connection. And the emotionally available partner becomes the center of that internal battle. They are the catalyst, they are the trigger, and they are also the potential turning point for the avoidant's growth, not because they try to fix them, not because they chase them, but because they represent a kind of love that doesn't need to be earned. And for an avoidant, that kind of love is unforgettable. And that's why they keep coming back, even if they never say it out loud. Avoidants live in a constant tug-of war between desire and defense. On the surface, they seem uninterested in closeness, but underneath that exterior is a deep, unspoken craving for emotional depth. They want to connect, they want to feel something real, but the moment it starts to happen, the alarm bells in their nervous system go off craving depth, while fearing intimacy is not just a contradiction, it's the core of their emotional struggle, and it's why they are so often attracted to partners who feel deeply and openly express emotions, because that emotional expression acts like a magnet to the avoidant's hidden hunger. When they meet someone who is emotionally present, it awakens something inside them. Something they've kept locked away for years. The safe partner listens, cares, responds, and stays, and suddenly, the avoidant is confronted with what they've always been missing. They see someone who doesn't flinch at emotional truth, who doesn't run when things get real, and that begins to break the avoidance cycle. They're intrigued, they're pulled in, but they're also afraid because this depth threatens their protective shell. It forces them to confront the parts of themselves they've buried beneath independence, control, and detachment. The avoidant's fear of intimacy isn't about the other person. It's about what intimacy demands: vulnerability, openness, trust, the very things they were taught were unsafe or unreliable as children. They learned to manage relationships by keeping emotions at bay, by staying one step removed. So when someone enters their life who feels everything and doesn't hide from it, it forces the avoidant to either evolve or escape. And that's where the tension lies. They crave the emotional connection this person offers, but also feel the urge to run from it the moment it becomes too real. What most people misunderstand is that avoidants don't fear the person, they fear the impact of the closeness. They fear losing themselves, they fear being seen too clearly, they fear being dependent and then abandoned. And so they do what they know best: they pull away, they create space. But their mind stays locked on the partner who made them feel something true. That emotional depth is unforgettable. It lingers, it stays, even when the avoidant walks away physically. They're still emotionally engaged. This craving is what keeps the avoidant coming back, not because they want to play games, but because they are caught between a need to feel and a fear of being overwhelmed by those feelings. They need someone who shows them that intimacy isn't a trap, that being seen isn't dangerous, and that depth doesn't mean destruction. And even if they don't say it, they know that the partner who brings out that depth is different, and that difference keeps them hooked, because somewhere deep down they believe that this kind of connection could finally set them free. Avoidants are not addicted to love, they're addicted to the chase. They don't fall for peace, they fall for pursuit. And this is where things get complicated. The moment a relationship begins to feel calm, consistent, and emotionally safe, the avoidant feels their grip slipping, not on the partner, but on their own identity. They've built their emotional world around self-protection, around staying in control, around not needing anyone. And when a partner offers peace instead of chaos, it doesn't feel like relief. It feels like loss of control. For the avoidant nervous system, chaos feels normal. It's what they grew up with: inconsistency, high emotional stakes, unpredictability. They don't trust stability because they never had it. They trust the chase because it keeps them one step ahead, one step removed. It allows them to feel like they're participating in love without ever fully stepping into it. They'll pursue someone who gives just enough, but not too much, someone they can desire from a distance. And once that partner becomes fully available and emotionally safe, the avoidant feels exposed, and exposure equals danger. So they start to sabotage, not because they want to hurt the other person, but because peace feels unfamiliar, and anything unfamiliar feels unsafe. They may pick fights, withdraw, criticize, overanalyze. They'll convince themselves the spark is gone, the excitement has faded. But what they're really saying is, I don't know how to be calm in love. I don't know how to exist in something that doesn't keep me on edge. And this is where they often break the connection, not because it's wrong, but because it's right in a way they can't handle yet. But here's the irony: even after leaving, the avoidant often fixates on that same partner, the one who brought them peace. They replay moments in their mind, they analyze what went wrong, they think about what could have been. They were never addicted to the person, they were addicted to the feeling the pursuit gave them. And when that pursuit ends, they're left with a silence that feels unbearable, and they often come back not because they've changed, but because they miss the dance, the drama, the rush. This cycle repeats until the avoidant learns to tolerate peace, to stay present in stillness, to stop confusing stability with boredom. They have to understand that love doesn't always need to hurt, that the real addiction isn't to people but to patterns. And when they meet someone who offers love without anxiety, someone who stands firm without chasing, the avoidant is forced to decide: will they finally surrender the chase, or will they run back into Chaos, and call it chemistry, the answer to that question is the key to their transformation. And whether they choose growth or retreat, the partner who offered peace will always mark a turning point in their story. Avoidants don't just fall for someone they idealize them, they build a fantasy in their mind, and that fantasy becomes more powerful than reality. The emotionally available partner isn't just a person to them. They become a symbol, a solution, a kind of emotional savior. The avoidant projects everything they've longed for onto that partner, imagining that if they can just stay connected this person, they'll finally be whole, finally be safe, finally be enough. This isn't conscious, it's a psychological survival strategy. They're not chasing love, they're chasing healing through someone else. This idealization starts early in the relationship. The avoidant sees the partner's emotional strength, their consistency, their ability to care deeply, and instead of just appreciating those traits, they assign meaning to them. They think maybe this person can fix what's broken in me. Maybe this person can love the parts of me I can't even face myself. And so the partner becomes more than a partner. They become a projection of an ideal, a fantasy of being fully accepted without having to risk vulnerability. But the danger of idealization is that it can't hold up under pressure. The moment the partner acts human, makes a mistake, shows imperfection, the fantasy begins to crack. And avoidant doesn't know how to handle that, because they weren't in love with the person. They were in love with the image of what that person represented. This is why avoidance can suddenly become cold or distant when things get too real, not because they stopped caring, but because the reality didn't match the fantasy, and that collapse feels like betrayal, even when it's not. Still, even when the relationship ends or the connection fades, the avoidant remains fixated, not on what actually happened, but on what could have been. The idea of the partner lives on in their mind as the one who almost saved them, the one who almost helped them escape their emotional armor, the one who almost made it safe to feel